episode of the Players Place podcast. Today joining us, we have bodybuilder, fitness influencer, all of it right here. Ex collegiate athlete. Dymitri Mckenzie. Thank you for
How's it
joining us
going?
today, man.
No problem. I definitely wanted to get
Yeah.
this done.
So of
We've been
course,
trying for
we've
a minute.
been trying for a couple weeks now, but it's happy to get you on for sure, bro. For those of you that don't know, bro, me and Mitri, we went to high school together, so I was able to know him on a personal level and stuff. But he has an interesting story. He's our first non-athlete-ish, I guess. He's still an athlete. We're gonna head into it for sure. So to start us off real quick, for the people that don't know you, just a quick rundown, just your name, hometown, yada yada.
Got you. So my name's Dymitri Mckenzie. I go by Mitri Fit on socials or Mitri.fit on Instagram because they banned me because Instagram like to hoe people. I'm from South Florida. Um, Grew up literally on the same street my entire life between split households. Played Division One football for a couple years and I concussed out. And then COVID hit, so I was on the brink of like trying to find another doctor to clear me or finding a new passion, and then God brought COVID out. So I was like, that's my cue. Just go find something else to do. Football's not worth it at this point, and that's when I picked up fitness a little bit more seriously and started posting more, and it just took off.
Yeah, I was, we're gonna get into that because obviously obviously after you concussed out, I've always wanted to know like what led you into choosing bodybuilding and like lifting.
So in terms of bodybuilding, that was never the goal. Like I remember saying in a supplement shop, like a dude, one of my first actual bodybuilding coach, he was like, "You're gonna be on stage one day." I'm like, I don't mess with that. Like that stuff's fruity. Da 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 da. This and the third, posing in front of a bunch of dudes in underwear, posing for other dudes so they could judge you. That didn't sound right. But as time went on and football kept peaking up, creeping up, like you miss that competition, you miss that. Like I'm sure with you, you miss the competition aspect of soccer, of high level soccer. So
Yeah,
you might play at the park a couple for some runs with people you know are good, where you can get that kind of similar feeling. But for me, it was like there's no men's league. Semi pro football is not worth it. I'm not playing flag. So I was like, I guess bodybuilding it is, but even still, I was hesitant because I was just so worried about what people would think with me posting a bunch of fitness stuff. And then it just became a if you don't fuck with it, you don't fuck with it. But
yeah,
that's like kind of what led me down that path. COVID. Then I just started posting workout clips on TikTok because I was bored and I wanted something to do. Wanted to have some type of purpose. Wanted to feel like I'm contributing to society in some way. My first ever video blew up, and then I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. So it's been a constant grind for 3 years now
yeah,
on
yeah,
the social media aspect.
yeah. The whole TikTok thing, I don't. How does it really work? Like obviously you don't have to tell us how much you're getting and stuff, but like how does like the posting and like the income, how
So
does that
in
work?
my niche, it's more about well, originally it was just about posting frequently, letting people see your face. It was a lot easier 3 years ago to become an overnight sensation than it is now. But as far as financially goes, I just rejoined the TikTok Creator Fund because they're doing this new thing with like over a minute long videos. They actually pay you well, like trying to compete with YouTube or whatever, and it does pay decent. Like it's not life changing for me at least, but if you utilize it the right way, it can. People make 10 to 15K a month just off of TikTok. So what I noticed was once you build your personal brand, once you market yourself the right way and you market yourself to these companies, they'll throw some money at you to promote their product. They'll sponsor you. Now you have a code that you make commission off of. Sometimes you might get a salary. And at the end of the day, you're saving money on all the things that they offer you. So for supplements, for example, I haven't bought a supplement that I didn't want to buy in 2 years. Gym clothes. I buy gym clothes because I have a shopping addiction, but if I didn't want to, I wouldn't have to buy clothes ever again.
Yeah.
And just you have to learn how to be a businessman. Like I do online coaching, I sell programs, I sell one-time programs. Just I have a clothing brand, so there's so many different avenues, especially in fitness, that people don't take advantage of. Because at the end of the day, a bunch of people see like, oh, this dude has 1 million followers, he must make so much money. He doesn't, because he doesn't know how to market himself. He doesn't know how to connect with those followers. And what my biggest tip was learning how to diversify followers from community. Because I can have all the followers, all the people who hit that follow button in the world, but if they don't come back, they don't interact, they don't buy anything that I'm pushing, I'm still not making money. So what do those followers do for me at the end of the day?
Yeah. In terms of like, marketing yourself and like what you just said, did you figure that stuff out on your own, or like you had like an agent or something help you out with that?
I essentially figured it out on my own. Like you knew me in high school, I was always outgoing to an extent. Like I'll talk to
Yeah.
whoever, but it was more so just showing people who I am as a person. I learned they're either gonna like me or you're not gonna like me, or you'll be somewhere in that middle range where like sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't, whatever, whatever. But you have to capitalize on both ends. The people that like you, they're gonna support you. The people that don't like you make a video towards our hate comments, so the people that like you go attack that person.
Yeah.
So it's like just building a little family essentially, and then
Yeah, I
reaching
see.
out to companies.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like same thing as a business application. Good afternoon. That this at the third. My name is Dymitri Mckenzie. I'd love to be a part of your brand. I'd love to be able to work with you exclusively. This is what I have to offer. This is what I've done for other companies in the past, so on and so forth. So it's a matter of just doing it and then learning how to do it again and again and again.
Yeah. That's huge. It's huge in the business world. I mean, you seems like you got it all down pat for real though. I see you answer some hate comments on your TikToks as
One
well,
hundred
because
percent.
there be some haters out there, man. Yeah, so during high school, I want to talk about high school a little bit, but during high school, when you were, obviously you're playing football at that point, but when you were choosing between schools, first of all, what school did you end up going to first?
Wagner.
Yeah. So
Or
you went to
first, I went to Air Force.
okay. So Air Force, and then you transferred to Wagner, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And then, during that time at Wagner, because I remember when you went to Wagner, you were popping off. Well, you were
I had
popping
so
off.
everyone thinks I was. I had the one highlight in practice that made it on ESPN, and then I had my
Mhm.
first career start that was a great game. I had like I think it was 13 carries, 115, and 2 touchdowns against UConn. So it was a bigger school on ESPN. So everyone's like, "Oh, Dimitri's doing his shit." Da 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 da. Fell off 2 weeks after. Fumbled twice in a game. Didn't start the week after, and then I concussed out. So it was kind of like you ride the high, but then the low came a lot quicker than expected.
Yeah, of course.
In terms of choosing a school, I initially chose Air Force not for me. It was to help my mom wanted me to go there because of everything that they did have to offer. They did have a ton to offer. Obviously, it's the United States military, so but it just wasn't for me. Like I didn't like being screamed at. I didn't like being yelled at. I didn't like having that set schedule that we talked about before we got on here. Like, all right, 0600 you wake up, 0700 breakfast. You got class from 8 to 2. You got practice at 3. You got military stuff at 4. Whatever it may be. I hated that lifestyle. Like that point was the lowest point I was at in my life by far. So it was like I have to get out of here one way or another. So I got out of there in about November, and thankfully, Coach Nottage, Rex, he was close with the Wagner head coach at the time. Like they were best friends, locked in, and the Wagner head coach wanted me to drop Air Force and go to Wagner, like right before summer workouts started, before I even went to Air Force. So once he heard I came back, he was like, "Oh yeah, let me get this guy in. Let me get him on a visit. This at the third." And looking back on it, I should have waited. I should have taken that gap semester and just gone in as a kid from class of 2018. I rushed it because I didn't want to sit at home. I didn't want to be that dude who went off to school, came back in 3 months, and was just lingering around the high school the entire time. It would have hated to be that guy. It was
Yeah.
just would have been weird. So I made the quick decision to go to Wagner instead of waiting down and seeing what else came. But it worked out. Like if I didn't go to Wagner, I wouldn't be doing this. That's the way I look at it.
Before, yeah, I mean everything happens for a reason. First of all, and that's how things fall in place, bro. Like I could tell you about my transfer situations. I've been to three schools. Like
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason and falls into place. But while you were at Wagner and you
hmm
were practicing and playing, NFL ever come across your mind? Like, was that something you wanted to push
Yeah.
for?
So the NFL was the only goal I had. I remember telling Rex after right before I left for Wagner, in 4 years I'll be in the NFL. He shook my hand. He said I'll hold you to it. Obviously barring injury, and I was on the right track to do so because Wagner might not have been the best school record wise or like football wise, but they would always find a way to get guys into the NFL. Like we just had ties to the league. So that's the way I looked at it. I'm like, all right, I just got to do what I do. They're not going to look at stats. They're going to look at your talent and the quick flashes you have because they know you're not on the best team, and then they'll give you a chance. By no means am I saying I would have been drafted. I would have been a top five pick. None of that. But I would have been given an opportunity in the NFL if I could have played all 4 years in college. And then it just
Yeah,
happened. Like you said, everything happens for a reason. I wasn't meant to go to the NFL. Is the way I look at it now.
yeah. So in terms of like getting concussed out, obviously that's a crazy situation because no one wants to be told they can't. Because that's their dream right there. So no one wants to be told they can't play the sport that they love anymore. So when you heard the news, what was going through your mind? What was going through your head?
Um, so I kind of already knew what. So a little backstory on that. I had three concussions in a year span. So I kind of had in my head like one more bad one that I can't play off is like, oh, I just got hit, head hurts a little, whatever. I'm probably done, just because of the frequency and the amount of time, not because of CT any of it said there. No doctor's just gonna clear me. My last one, I was out cold for 4 minutes. So like not moving, like they thought I died on the field. Like remember Damar Hamlin?
Yeah, yeah,
They thought it was a similar situation to that. They thought like my neck broke, everything, just because of the way I was hitting. I just wasn't moving. So that one put me out for a month. So I'm thinking like on that month span, keep in mind I'm not going to class because my head hurt too bad. I'm literally eating maybe twice a day. Maybe if I remember to go get food or if I'm awake or if I can fight through it or whatever it may be. I'm not going to practice. So I'm thinking, like I'm talking to my dad, I'm having these conversations, these hard conversations, like it might be over. So going into the doctor's office that day because it was already a month post or about 6 weeks post concussion. I kind of had the idea that he was going to tell me like, yeah, I don't recommend you go back, so I'm not going to be the one to clear you. But even still knowing what I knew, it still shattered me. Like I broke down in the office, cried the entire car ride back to school, called my dad, cried some more, and that night, if it wasn't because it was Halloween when I found out, so you know how Halloween gets at a college.
yeah.
My friends drugged me out of my room, and we went out that night. I blacked out, didn't remember the night, anything after that fact, and I kind of just moved about it as I should have. Then I had all the hard conversations with my coaches. Had like, sorry, bud, like we love to see it, or we would have loved to see you play out your 4 years here. Da 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 da. Like it is what it is. That was like the mantra I held. And then COVID hit 3 months later. So we go home. And I'm like, damn, I was going to try to do the get cleared by another doctor thing because the doctor I originally had was really old, senile. Like, he was like 80. But COVID hit and forced me back home. and I couldn't do anything. Like there was only so many field workouts you could do, only so many. Couldn't lift weights, so I'm like, is this God's sign of telling me to just hang him up? And I took it as that's what it was. So I hung him up. I signed the paperwork officially, like I'm done. I'm medically retiring. Wagner's going to honor my scholarship, and that was that. But to this day, like the times where it gets harder around now because college football's starting to roll back out, camp is rolling back out, and draft day, like draft week and weekend. That those are the only two times a year that it actually gets hard. Like damn, one I miss fall camp. Like as weird as it sounds, once you're done with it, you miss it. Two, I just whole draft day thing is something that I wanted to experience with some of my closest friends, some of my closest family members. Like getting that phone call, getting to sign that paperwork, and fulfilling a dream. And that's why I've chased going pro in bodybuilding so hard for my first year and a half. Because, like, now I have a new end goal that nobody can take from me. Like, it's me versus me at the end of the day. And that's essentially why. Because I didn't get that moment a year, it would have been a year and a half ago now. I didn't get that moment then, so I'm trying to get that moment now.
Yeah. So during that period, when you came home and you just, you really made that final decision. So during that period,
Mm-hmm.
when you were home and, kind of deciding on what to do, what were you doing?
I was working once, like, we realized COVID was like, all right, you could work around people with masks, all that stuff. I went back to my moving job with Sarah, Sonny, and Kenny. So we were working that, just getting that done, and then that was really it. We
Yeah.
would work 3, 4 days a week max, just because people were so scared. This at the third, and then I would be up till 2 a.m. playing 2K or COD or whatever it may have been, and that was literally it. Like it felt like you were in a matrix of some sort because you were doing the same thing week in, week out, week in, week
Yeah.
out, and everyone tried to find this COVID hack. Don't be bored with it, and then it was just like, all right, now what?
So during that, so so during that time, obviously you're deciding, and it's a tough situation. And like you said, you don't want to be getting up early, working, and going through the repeat cycle over and over.
Right.
Like, trust me, I don't think anyone wants to do that. To be fair, but it sucks. I mean, for people that are doing it, I applaud you. That's how you get your bread. But like,
Yeah.
some people can't.
Nah,
Some
not
people
me.
can't do it. So my initial question was like, what really? Obviously, you told us in the beginning, but when were you? So okay, so the real question would be, did you tell yourself like, I'm gonna push to be a pro bodybuilder? Like when did that click in your head?
Honestly, not until last year. So COVID happened, what, 2020?
Yeah.
Damn. But so like I was still making TikToks, I was still pushing content, but I was always super against bodybuilding or like competing because I was like, oh, I don't like dieting, I don't like any of that. I want to be able to live freely, look good, and just lift weights. Then I started working at this COVID site, and I was like, huh, things started things started to move a little bit more. I'm like, okay. Then more people started reaching out, bro. You need to compete. You need to compete. You need to compete. Then my friend Jay competed 2021, and he won his show. He cleared everything. And I was like, okay, it's starting to interest me a little bit more. Then another one of my friends out here, Zay, he did the same thing, won his show. So I'm like, fuck it, it's my turn. And then I did my first prep. I was like, all right, this sucks, but the amount that you learn about yourself, the amount of fulfillment you get when that moment is done, is second to none. Like scoring all the touchdowns, uh, getting all the tackles, getting all the interceptions, whatever, doesn't compare to that moment when you're on stage. They call your number out and they tell you you won the show, or like they do like the whole fifth, fourth, third, second, first thing.
Yeah.
That moment will forever be engraved in my head. So that was when I was like, okay, I can push to be a pro. Like we'll see where we stack up, but I think I meant to do this now. That's where you like it was at like welcome to the show type thing. You feel like you finally belong. You finally feel like you've made it somewhere. So that was essentially when it was. So about 2022. So honestly, about a year ago was
Yeah.
when I was like, all right, let me make the full commitment, full push to becoming a pro bodybuilder. Let me lock in on my diet in my off season, do all the steps, necessary things for cardio, training, whatever it may be. Start investing more into my body with deep tissue massages, chiropractic work, everything like that.
Yeah, I wanted to touch. I'm gonna touch on like your diet, and I really want to touch on the weight cutting because I've seen some videos on that definitely. But I wanted to ask like in terms of like getting your pro card and pushing to become pro as a bodybuilder, like I wouldn't say what are the requirements, but like do you have to go to like a pro show and then win the show? Like
So,
how does it work?
so for most pro qualifiers, they'll do. There's everything split up into classes. So, there's open bodybuilding, which is the massive motherfuckers, like the dudes who are twice my size, from featherweight all the way up to super heavyweight. Then there's classic physique. That's the one that everyone loves. That's where Chris Bumstead is. That's what like he started. And then there's men's physique, the board shorts. For bodybuilding, you have to win your class outright. The top one guy per class gets their pro card. At most pro qualifiers, some of them are different, but for the general consensus, in open bodybuilding, the top guy per class gets it. Now in classic and men's physique, the top two guys per class get it because they're. I feel like they do it that way because there's so many more people who do those, so they want to give more people an opportunity. But at the same time, it kind of killed the exclusivity of it. But honestly, I don't really care. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
the top two per class in classic physique and men's physique get their pro card, but you have to qualify at a regional show, which is easy. It's like running. It's essentially like going from rec to AAU or rec to
Okay.
travel.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
regional show is going to be rec. You might get two or three guys at said regional show that look insane that you compete with, but then everyone else looks like they shouldn't be on the stage. That they're 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
And then you get to AAU where now there's still going to be dudes who don't belong there, but there's a lot more guys that belong there than the ones who don't.
Yeah. In terms of like your prep, because like I like when you were like cutting weight and stuff. Like by the way, everyone, I just I see all this on TikTok, so like I'm new to all this. It's cool to watch really, but like in terms of prep, it almost looks like you're preparing for like a like a UFC fight. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, so those insane weight cuts aren't the norm. I'm in that weird position where, so my first national show, they measured me in an eighth of an inch short or a quarter of an inch short, maybe, whatever it was. So I had already made weight for the height I thought I was going to be, but I got measured short, so I had to go lose another 7 pounds via sauna, cardio, just pushing the rest of the water out that I could. And that one legitimately almost killed me. Like I called my coach. I'm on the stairmaster. My heart rate's dropping while I'm active. So he's like, "Okay, you're going hypoglycemic. Your body's fighting itself. Finish this session and go make weight. Then do whatever you need to do for the first 40 minutes to make sure you don't pass out. Because if you
yeah,
pass out, we're gonna have to go to the hospital, and that's gonna ruin everything. Because now they're gonna put an IV in me. It's gonna flush a bunch of water back into my system. It's just gonna wash away the look." And then my second national show, I was on pace to not have to do it again. But everything that could have went wrong 2 days out from the, or a day out from the weigh-in went wrong. My videographer, his flight got canceled. My fiance's flight got canceled. I lost my SD card that had all my content that I was getting ready to post. It wasn't that much that I actually lost, but it was just the stress of like, now I got to go buy a new SD card, this, that, the third. And then I almost lost the keys to the Airbnb. And just there was so much going on that day. So when you're stressed out, there's a hormone in your body called cortisol. When that hormone raises, you're gonna hold stress water. It's just water retention at the end of the day. Like the water you drink, it just holds onto it instead of excreting it. So instead of me being 5 pounds above the weight cap that I thought I was going to be, I was 16 pounds above. So the morning I woke up, I was like, all right, we got 16 pounds to lose. Let's go do it. And that one wasn't as bad because I could space it out a little bit more instead of being so drastic and doing it all in 2 hours. So that one wasn't as bad because I lost a bunch of water the first time, but it still sucked. And doing that puts a lot of stress on the body, so you can't really bring your best physique to the stage after something like that. Now, granted, there are other methods of doing it, but I didn't want to test those methods without my coach telling me to do so. So, yeah, like it is essentially like a UFC fight cut. The only difference is they get to fill back up right after. Like they get to drink
Yeah.
Gatorade, they get to eat
Oh
a bunch of
yeah.
food, they
Mhm.
get to get all their electrolytes back in. As a bodybuilder, you want to have that dry, grainy look where like you can see every indentation, every muscle fiber. So you can't put a bunch of water in your system just yet because your body's not used to it at that point. Because you cut water, you pulled water, so you could have that look. Once you reintroduce a bunch of water back in, that's when it like washes you out and you spill over. So that's kind of been the issue that I've had my first two pro qualifiers. So I've looked to I've got a new coach, so we're gonna attack it differently. But yeah, it sucks. Don't it definitely sucks. Now I see what wrestlers talk about. Now I understand what fighters who fight at like Aljamain Sterling. I understand what he has to go through now because he'll be a super low body fat, still be 6 7 pounds above weight. He
Yeah.
has to force his body to lose that weight.
In terms of like uh in terms of, positioning when they essentially look at you and rate you and all that stuff, um what are they looking for? Cuz
They're looking
I
for.
saw.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're looking for the balance. Like they want the balance between muscularity, conditioning, and flow. And conditioning is not the typical conditioning that athletes always hear about. All right, you're in shape. It's like how lean are you? How tight is your physique? How tight is the skin to the body? Like they want to be able to see literally everything. So, and then as far as positioning goes, first place is always a guy in center stage. Second place is usually to his left, third to his right, fourth to the left, fifth to the right, etc., so on and so forth. So when you get moved center, you see a lot of dudes smile or like celebrate a little bit before they keep posing people and keep moving people through because they're like, damn, now I'm their top guy. Let's see what happens. So yeah, that's essentially what you want out of every show because you never want to be on that second and third level because you never know. Because some shows I've seen them do it differently, where first is in the middle, second's right, third's left, and vice versa. So you're like, damn, now we have to fight, now we have to battle. But most of the time they don't really let you. They kind of just, all right, you're done.
Yeah.
Then you find out at the night show or at
Yeah,
finals, I
yeah.
should say.
So, for those of you that don't really keep up with Mitri's journey, I hope you do after this, but when your most recent show, I want to say, you said you felt really prepared. You thought it was
Yeah.
going to be a great one, obviously, and then you didn't get the outcome you wanted, but obviously you learned from it. So, like, what were those things that you think you lacked that didn't get you that finish that you wanted?
So in terms of what I lacked, I don't think I lacked anything per se from the first place to my placing. Where I was missing, remember how we talked about how your body can't fill back up?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
where I was screwed up. I looked flat. I looked a little spilled over because I feel like my coach had fed me too much. Looking back on it, obviously, in the moment, you're listening to everything your coach says. You're doing everything to a T, this and third. Listening to that, and then just looking at the pictures, my legs were super inflamed because I was doing 2 hours of cardio, and your body can't get rid of inflammation quick.
Yeah.
So with that, that's kind of just what it was. I woke up that morning. I didn't tell anybody this until about a week or a couple days ago, honestly. I woke up that morning like, eh. Looked at myself and like, we'll do our best. We'll see what happens. As opposed to like, all right, we're ready. I didn't feel
Yeah.
confident going onto the stage. Like I hit it very well, But going onto the stage, day of show day, I was not confident. Leading up to it, I was very confident. I was like, I love the way I'm looking. But that's the crazy thing about bodybuilding. Your body changes so quickly, so fast, and so much in that short span of time. You never really know until, because even if I loved the way I looked in the morning, by the time I was on the stage, I could have hated it based off of or I drank too much water. Because obviously you still drink a little bit of fluid so you can move the food around so it digests instead of just sitting there.
Yeah.
Or we fed too much or we fed too little, or whatever it may have been. Like you always have that what if feeling.
So in terms of in terms of this journey so far, obviously, what has been your biggest takeaway so far?
You can do anything you want in this world. Like truly, if you put enough effort in, you can gain success in any avenue in the world. And I'm a 100% firm believer in that. Because if you had asked me when I was 17 years old, would I be running a clothing brand, a coaching business, and a fitness influence that people recognize all over the country, I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed at you. But
Yeah.
through 3 years of busting my ass day in, day out, working 16-hour shifts when I first moved to Dallas, or 16-hour days, not 16-hour shifts, between my remote job, personal training, content creation, and training myself through my first prep, it was like you can literally do any. There's enough time in every day to get everything you want done. What I did was I minimized the amount of decisions I had to make day in, day out, and that made all the difference. Because the more decisions you have to think about, the more frazzled your mind gets. If you have a set schedule, all right, I got to go here this time. I got to be here at this time. I got to be here at this time. I got to eat this then. I got to eat this now. I got to, whatever it may be. Your life becomes so much easier. That's what I preach to all my friends, family, clients. If you just lay out your day from the night before, you'd be surprised with how easy your life becomes. Obviously, barring certain circumstances, everyone's situation is different,
Yeah.
but it's like there's so much opportunity in this world that that people don't take advantage of because they're scared. We're I'd say 85 to 90% of these people watching this, you're young. You have time to fuck up. Trust me. You have a lot of time to fuck up before you got to get it together. So at that point, make the mistake now so you know it was a mistake rather than being 35 like what if I did this when I was then? What if I did this then? Fuck up now, reap the benefits later.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be hard to chase your dream. It's going to be hard to do whatever you want, but it's so fulfilling and so worth it once it's done. And the work is really never done because you always want to scale. You always want to get better. You always want to grow, whatever it may be. But once you get to that initial point where you're like, all right, I'm comfortable now, and you can sit back and really look at what you've culminated, what you've made, it's better than anything.
Yeah. A lot of people do nowadays. Really, they do the comparing. So like they
Yeah,
compare their journey to someone else's journey, and then you and someone else might not be exactly where he is or exactly where the other person is. So like I feel like a lot of people are not racing their own race, and it kind of messes them up as well.
yep.
So
That's something that you see a lot in the fitness industry too.
really,
Because because there's a few guys who are like the top dogs in the new era. Because obviously everything has a generation, everything has eras. There's a few top dogs, and you're like, damn, why is he more famous than I am? Why does he have more followers than I do? Why is he making more? Because he worked for it, and you have your own journey to run. So that's really all it is. If you try to run somebody else's race, you're always going to come in last. Come
hmm,
first in your own race.
yes, sir, for sure, for sure. So closing it up here, I'm gonna ask just a couple questions, but in terms of short term, you know, what are some short term goals you have right now?
Continue to grow the brand to the point where I can hold inventory or at least order stock instead of doing pre-orders. GoPro and bodybuilding, and continue to grow my socials. Those are really the only three goals I have for the next 8 to 12 months.
Yeah, yeah. and then your ultimate goal. What would be your ultimate goal? Not only in bodybuilding and your brand and stuff, but in life. What's your ultimate goal?
Own multiple six-figure businesses. Like I want to get into real estate. I want to have property in Florida. I want to have property in Texas. I want to have property in New York, wherever it is, um, and just love the life that I've built for me and my family. Because as you may have seen, I got engaged recently, so continue to grow with my fiance, continue to just build for our family in the future, and just give them a life that I didn't have. Like I want my kids to be like some of those kids from North Broward that have the fuck you money that can do whatever they want because daddy's credit card swipes wherever. Like that's my ultimate goal.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you and I both know how hard it was to watch some of our teammates, some of the kids there just, oh, you want to go get food? Damn, let me check my account. Nah, I'm eat at the calf today. Or and then you see them just pull out daddy's Amex.
yeah, man.
Like that, the school store. Like I want my kids to be able to go into the school store and get whatever they want and not have to worry about the bill. Because that school store is a
Yeah,
mofo.
that school store was ridiculous, bro. Oh my gosh.
Why do you think I
I
worked at
remember
this?
my first not even my first year. I think my second year at North Broward. That's when it really hit me. That's when I was like, damn, like these people are rich. If you realize when you go back to the parking lot to leave and you see the cars that are in the parking
Mm-hmm.
lot, you're like, this is not normal,
This looks
dude.
like a luxury car lot.
Look, that's what I'm saying. You got 16, 17, 18-year-olds driving these crazy AMGs and all these cars, bro. And you're just like,
It must be nice.
it's wild, though. It's wild for sure. No, but first off, like, congrats. Congrats on the engagement for sure.
I
You
appreciate that.
did you guys set a date for the wedding yet?
Nah, so we're doing a destination wedding. We're going to Italy. It's like 2 to 3 years from now. She's doing all that stuff. Um, so that's the thing. When I tell people I'm going to Italy for the wedding, they're like, damn, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be more expensive to get married here in the States and invite a bunch of people than it is to go overseas, experience a different life for a week and a half, and fly out our parents and our closest friends. It's
Yeah.
going to be so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be about the same amount of money, but it's going to be so much more fun to do it there than it is here. Because now I
Yeah.
don't got to
Fair enough.
invite 150 people that I barely know that just going to talk shit about my wedding anyways.
Yeah. So now you just have like a close wedding in a sick place. Might as well. Turns into a honeymoon slash family vacation. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
yeah, no, that's sick for sure. All right, I got two questions left. So like,
No
what is
problem.
the best pre workout right now?
Rise Country Time Loaded Pre Workout. You can find it online using code Mitri, Mitri, or you can go to Vitamin Shop. I'm pretty sure it's there as well. Um, I'm not going to promote any other brand. There's good pre's everywhere. Like, you kind of just have to look at labels because at the end of the day, most of the top brands are using very, very similar formulas, at least the brands in store. So you just look at labels and then go flavoring, and whichever flavor piques your interest, you go with that. I will
Yeah,
say Rise has the best tasting pre's on the market. Like they'll be the same formula, but Rise values flavor because they're like, all right, we're tired of this grainy, salty, like disgusting chalk taste. We're gonna value flavor, but also value quality. So now you get the best of both worlds.
yeah. Now the last thing I wanted to touch on, you put me on the Ninja Creamy, man.
You're welcome.
You you put me on, but my question is, where on earth did you find that?
So I got mine before the whole craze happened. It was literally
That's what I'm saying. You were the first one.
I got mine. No, so I had been seeing it for a while. It was all over my TikTok page for like 3 weeks,
Really?
and I'm like, do I really want to spend $250 on this? Am I gonna use it? Because when I'm on prep, I cardio shop. When I'm doing an hour of cardio, hour and 20 minutes of cardio in the morning, fasted, I'm like, I'm bored. I can only be on TikTok live for so long before they get annoying. So I just pull out my phone, I start shopping. I'm like, do it. and then I'll buy something that I don't need at all. Like I bought a slushy machine at one point in prep. Didn't use it once. $120 down the drain. So I was like, all right, this is gonna be my cardio purchase for today. I bought it. Best purchase I've ever made. They're actually in stock on Ninja Kitchen right now. So if you want one, just go to the Ninja website and order it. It's like what they
Yeah.
have the smaller version. That's the same exact thing everyone always asks. The Ninja Breeze. It's in stock. I think it's $160, and then they have the deluxe, which is $250.
Yeah. No, but that. Oh man.
Yeah, because it was
Your
like I got
video.
mine, started making the videos on it, and then everyone's like, "Where'd you find it? Where'd you find it? Where'd you find it?" I'm like, bro, I got mine from J.C. Penney. Like it was
That
literally in
is
stock everywhere,
crazy.
and then it was in stock nowhere.
Yeah. No, that's crazy for sure. No, but first off, thank you, thank you for joining, thank you for finding
No, no
time for this,
problem.
bro. It's
I
been
enjoyed doing this.
it's been huge. It's been huge to catch up real quick and hear about it because I've always had so many questions about it, but it's been huge for sure.
Yeah,
And I wanted to, wish you luck on the rest of your journey. We'll
I
keep in touch
appreciate
for
you.
sure, but it's been great to catch up. I haven't honestly, bro. In terms of people from North Broward, I haven't really talked to much people, but I definitely wanna. I'm trying to get X on here, Kevin.
Yeah,
Trying to get some guys on here for sure and try and catch up with them. But it's good. It's good to see that you're doing well, bro. It's good to see that you're
same
healthy,
to you.
well. Everything's good, bro, for sure.
I appreciate that.
Everyone that tuned in, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll put Mitri
Thumbs up.
socials so you guys could catch up with Mitri and follow his journey as well. Thank you again, Meet, and you know, we'll catch up and stay safe.
You as well.